I'm Charis Yost. I was born and raised in Delaware. Moved down to Columbus back in like 2011, 2012, and have been a Hilliard resident since 2020. Happily married to Lauren Yost. We've been married since 2016. So what is that? It'll be 9 years in August. So it's been a great marriage. And then we have our 4-year-old daughter, Theodora, who's the light of our lives. She's the one that keeps us ticking. So most of my adult life, I've been in the restaurant industry. So doing any kind of position from hosting to a busser to serving bartending, all the way to the back of house, dishwashing, kitchen, even up to management and whatnot. So I'm kind of just working my way through the ranks of what the restaurant industry had to offer. And then it led me to have the skill set to, start Bears. COVID, I think, for us was a mixed bag. I know that a lot of people had negative outcomes and situations that they had to, face. Obviously, we had our negative side. We obviously had isolation and stuff. That's a huge thing that you have to get through and persevere. That barrier is kind of tough sometimes. But we had Theodora. We were pregnant with her during COVID. So that was definitely a silver lining. Me being furloughed, being in the restaurant industry, and then my wife went to work from home. So I think we also got a little bit of a baby moon before we had Theodora, and we got to reconnect as just people. So I think that was a really great thing. But there was just a lot of adversity just to the day-to-day and, communication with people and just daily tasks. It kind of got difficult sometimes. We tried to do bread baking and stuff as everybody else did. And I tried bagels and it was terrible. And Lo didn't let me hear the end of it. And then I just started kind of going down the rabbit hole and really researched how to do a bagel and got pretty good at it. So we started just selling it out of our house in 22. And we ended up kind of getting a lot of interest and intrigue from the community. So we started selling at farmers markets, and we actually talked with you guys. We were regulars at Coffee Connections, and we talked with Sharon first, I think, and then you came into the fold, Nate, and it kind of just flourished into a great relationship there. But that was kind of the spark to start the wholesale portfolio, and we really started taking off at that point. And then after that, it went into farmers markets, and it snowballed into the brick and mortar. It was kind of an epiphany moment for both of us. Lo and I had always talked about having our own food concept, and we really didn't know what that meant in terms of the style of food, or if it was going to be a breakfast, lunch, dinner, full service. We just knew we wanted to do something. And when I started the bagel thing and it started picking up this traction, we kind of had this realization that the West Side specifically really didn't have an artisanal bagel product. Hilliard specifically really needed a fast casual, on-the-go carry-out option for breakfast and lunch. So with those two holes in the market, we really saw the opportunity to kind of put ourselves in there, and away she went. So first and foremost, I think being in the backyard was a huge thing. We had been coming to you guys. I don't think we ever really talked at length before we became partners in wholesaling to you. We had loved this place. We had saw all of the good that you were doing in the community, and your philanthropy that you guys have. And we just thought it was a great brand, and it also was a part of the community that we were trying to root ourselves into. So I think it was kind of a no-brainer. And then little did we know that you guys are like two of the nicest people in the world. So that ended up just being a silver lining after we started to get to know you on like a personal level. So I think breakdown was obviously staffing. It ended up being, I remember seeing a percentage or something on an article. It was something like 83%, 84% of the workforce in the restaurant industry was laid off. And that is devastating, So that was definitely the biggest downfall to how COVID impacted that industry. I think the resilience was just the people that were left and we're there to do, the DoorDashes, the carryouts, all of that stuff, they were grinding and really putting in hours and really sacrificing themselves for, the brands, whether it was mom and pops and stuff. It kind of gave a little bit of ownership back to the restaurants. I think that the food industry really got bogged down to the sensibility of it's always yes and the customer's always right. And though we want to be reasonable and we want to, offer and cater to the needs of our guests and our patrons and stuff, obviously there's thresholds to how people can just act towards another human. And I think that kind of set a threshold and a boundary for restaurant industry people to be able to empower themselves to say no in certain situations. We were in North Linden when the shutdown happened in March, and we were there through the summer. Everything started to open back up, and we actually moved to Hilliard in September. We had just had our daughter Theo at the end of July, and we were a day back from the hospital when our realtor said, "Hey, I got a house. It's over in Hilliard." We weren't really familiar with Hilliard at all. They ended up walking the house on a Zoom call with us because we had a 2-day-old baby, and we ended up putting the bid on it, and we ended up closing and moving in at the beginning of September. And we've never looked back. Hilliard's literally the best. We came into Hilliard kind of blind to what the community was and just what made Hilliard so special. I think obviously the small town vibe, this small little historic district that they've cultivated and just manicured into this beautiful setting that's walkable. It's Old Bag of Nails and Odie's, and you guys have been here for 11 years now. It just has this culture about it that is different from even the other historic suburbs like Westerville and Worthington and things like that. So it really has a special element to it that is hard to describe. But I think the community, how the community supports the businesses that are here in Hilliard, something that you really can't pinpoint, but you can feel it, especially when you come down Norwich and it tells you to slow down and it kind of takes you back to small town Ohio.